All right, viewers, welcome back to the formulajonah YouTube channel. It's good to be back live streaming once again, and officially this is our second stream today. First time on this channel doing this. We are covering the 24 hours of Le Mans, of course, discussing what's going on, discussing what has happened, and what is going to happen, of course, during this historic event. But yeah, viewers, welcome to this, and let's get underway with this. I have David joining me once again. David, welcome back to these live streams. We've had some incredible racing. We are at the halfway point, pretty much. Still long ways to go in this event. And what have you thought about this race so far? How has it touched you as a motorsport fan? Is it an all-time classic? And what do you think as we head into this final and second part of the 24 Hours of Le Mans?
Well, it's definitely an interesting one, Jonah, because the weather has been a huge part of this race so far. A lot of strategy has come into play. It has been a very clean race so far. So like, I believe only 6 cars has retired. So yeah, still a long way to go, and it could be a classic, but it's too early to say. Now reports say that it's going to rain for the next, what is it, 4 hours,
which is a long time for sure.
Yeah, and it's really raining a lot right now. So that's going to change the whole dynamic of the race and see who's getting faster now in the middle of the night. So yeah, definitely an interesting one. A lot has happened in the last 12 hours, but yeah, looking forward to the next 12 as well. Of course, it's pretty late at night at my place right now, so if I'm not as loud and as enthusiastic, yeah, as normally, it's because it's pretty late, but or early, depending on how you see it. So yeah, I'm good and excited for the next 12 hours.
Yeah, David's in the same time zone, viewers, as the 24 Hours of Le Mans, and right now it's pretty much in the nighttime hours, and very different time of the race compared to the daytime hours we were used to seeing in the beginning of the start of this race and towards the end of it, which we will see. But David, you mentioned the fact that weather has played a critical factor in this event. We've seen it come in and go multiple times, and yet again, as we reach the halfway point of this race, the rain has come down. It's affecting the track. A lot of the entries have come in for wet tires. I believe the majority of them have. And once again, we're seeing the weather affect the event, and it's great to see that it has come in, to be honest, because that means we get changeable strategies. That means we get changeable grid orders, of different cars trying different strategies with tires, with fuel, all that sort of thing. It makes things interesting. And so, yet again, in the middle of the night, rain has hit the track. But let's talk about what's kind of happened so far. I have a quick recap of everything. At the front of the field, it has been Ferrari and Porsche that have been very quick, but Toyota has come in most recently in the last couple of hours, and it's currently the number 8 car leading the event right now, and the number 7 Toyota is currently in third. So the GR010 is running really strong, and I think the experience is what matters. But at the front of the field, for the majority of this race, it has been Porsche versus Ferrari versus Toyota.
Yeah, Jonah, you're right, because I feel it seems as though that the Toyota hypercar is faster here in the cooler conditions. It is the coldest it has been and throughout the whole week, so that's probably benefiting Toyota a lot.
For sure.
Whereas we saw in like the daytime, it was Ferrari and Porsche fighting at the top of the rankings. So definitely a change here, and also some interesting calls from Ferrari and also lately Porsche in terms of which tires to go on in these rain periods has cost them a lot. So let's see, but it's still pretty close. I mean, there's 6-7 seconds between first and second place, and And that's not a lot at Le Mans. I mean, 12 hours racing and only 7 seconds between the first and second place. So, um, but yeah, it seems as though that this rain is the first time it's really like covering the whole track and being pretty consistent.
Big downpour.
So it's gonna be interesting to see what that changes in the dynamic of who is faster now that it's wet, and really wet. So yeah, definitely interesting period we're going into, and has been a different type of Le Mans so far.
Agreed, and I think another factor as well that has we've seen is that the reliability has been pretty good when it comes to all the entries. We've had, of course, a few times during this race where multiple entries have had reliability issues. For example, the number 32 Kane entry, I think the car was on fire for a moment. And they had to stop and eventually retire. So that's just an example of a reliability issue. I think it wouldn't be a 24 hours of Le Mans if we didn't have some sort of reliability thing. Of course, this is the ultimate test of endurance when it comes to motorsport. But it's been pretty good compared to previous years. I think the commentators for this race across the feeds have explained this as well, that reliability has been getting better and better and better. When it comes to the hypercar field especially, the only entries that have had major reliability issues, I think besides maybe the Proton competition car had a reliability issue, but the main
Yeah.
cars that had issues, and this transitions perfectly into our next segment, which I wanted to bring up, has been the Alpines. As mentioned in a comment below, rest in peace, Alpine number 35 and 36. Unfortunately, both Alpines have retired from the event, and this happened kind of early on in the race, and happened not too far apart either. The number 35 car was the first to retire. I believe it stopped with Formulajonah at the wheel. It was Ferdinand Habsburg, I believe, at the wheel at Arnage, and the car ground to a halt with smoke pulling out of the car, and it obviously was having an issue and eventually retired from the race. The 36 car then went into the pit lane, and it was announced that that car would then retire from the race. And just honestly devastating news. It has been a very difficult race for Alpine here at the 24 Hours of Le Mans. And while they had a pretty competitive race car, the A424 was pretty competitive. Speed, power, all that sort of thing, consistency when it comes to pace will not win you the 24 Hours of Le Mans alone. Another factor, which is the biggest factor in my opinion, is surviving and reliability. And unfortunately, Alpine did not have that today. Both cars retiring with engine issues. And yeah, David, what is your thoughts when it comes to the Alpines? What did you think about both of them retiring from the race? A double DNF for the French squad.
Well, first of all, it seems as though it has been the same problem for both entries. Some overheating problems.
Mm-hmm.
We saw white smoke, which usually is the engine overheating and collapsing. So, um, and Alpine has also mentioned on their social media that both cars had the same kind of problems, mechanical problems. So it's good that it's a what you can say like a consistent problem, and they know what it is and they know what to fix. But obviously, this is not what a French manufacturer want to go to Le Mans and finish with. They
Right.
want to be competitive, which, to be fair to them, they have been. But yeah, a devastating L for Alpine, and now only Peugeot as the last remaining French manufacturer, which is a rival of Alpine. So definitely not what they would have wanted.
Yeah, and that's another factor as well, is that this these A424s are brand new into the 24 Hours of the Mall. Of course, they've had three races beforehand with the with Qatar, with Imola, and then of course Spa. But the fact is that this is the first 24 Hours of Le Mans where Alpine has had a race, and so this is kind of an unknown territory, especially for all these four new manufacturers in hypercar. So it was always going to be a learning race. But I did not expect both cars to retire with this sort of issue so early on. So it's definitely disappointing, but the good news is that they'll come back stronger. I'm sure of it when it comes to Sao Paulo later on in the season, and hopefully they have a better 24 hours of Le Mans next time out. Another manufacturer in hypercar that did not have a good race was BMW. Wow, it was just a disappointing event for them. And it was really down to just other factors. It wasn't reliability. It was more, there was a few errors out on track and a few moments when the car spun off. I think the number 15-ish car had a spin and went off the track at the very start of the race. But of course, that entry was the car that was at the front. And then, like we all have watched, and in case you didn't watch, Kubica and Vantor, that being Dries Vantor, made contact and resulted in the number 15 BMW going into the wall. And right when it hit the wall, it was game over pretty much from that point onward. Huge disappointment for the BMW M team at WRT camp. And that car was out of the race with the number 20 car in the pit lane. And it just really has been a difficult race for BMW. I don't think the number 20 car is classified as retired, but it's been in the pit lane.
It's still in the pit lane.
Okay, yeah. But I'm wondering, because we saw on stream a while ago that I think the owner of Team WRT spoke about the fact that BMW is trying to get the car out, or the team's trying to get the car back out on track, but it's been a while of that car in the pit lane, and either way, it doesn't matter. That car is basically done. There's no point, or there's no possibility for it to secure a successful result like a top 10.
Yeah, well, it reminds me a bit of 2014 with Porsche, to be honest. Also having reliability problems and just bad luck. Because that's what it has seemed to be for BMW this race. It has been a lot of bad luck for the number 15 and just some annoying reliability problems for the number 20.
Right.
But in the end, this is like it's their first Le Mans back in the top class for so many years. So also just finishing the race is a achievement in itself. So I believe that we won't see the number 20 car out on the track before like the last 30 minutes, maybe an hour, just to get it around and finish the race, no matter how many laps it's going to be behind. Just the achievement of finishing the race is a big deal. As we get a safety car out on the track now,
Yeah, that was, I'm not really, it could be down to the number 311 Cadillac going off the track. Viewers, we are of course watching the race live in case you are just joining us. The race is currently happening halfway through the event bout, and we have this massive rain period. A few cars are going on track, and the safety car has been deployed officially for the second time, I believe, so far. There's a lot of rain out on track. But I just want to take this moment just to mention the fact that a big thank you to everybody who's joined the stream so far. We have 80 people watching right now, and we are getting close to over 100, which is awesome to see, considering we are so late or so early, depending where you are in the world. Basically, this is an unusual time for live streaming. To see this amount of people come in is just absolutely incredible. So I have to say thank you to everybody who's joined so far, and we will continue to live stream our thoughts and just basically talking about the event. In terms of the other new manufacturers, the Lamborghini has had a pretty solid race. It's been, they haven't really been competing for the overall victory or a podium, but then again, that wasn't really the objective heading into this event. This, of course, is another, like, new learning race for Lamborghini Iron Lynx. And both cars are currently still in it, performing pretty well. They're in the top 20, which is nice, of course. And I think they might be a lap or two behind the leaders, but they're still in the fight. Also, another entry doing not too bad is the Sota Freschini, which is awesome to see. I hope that nothing goes wrong, because this car has been on pretty good form throughout the race, and we want to see Sota continue to do well, and we want to see them get a good result, of course. They're not going to be fighting for the win. They're not going to be fighting for the podium or a big top 10 result or something like that. That was never really the objective. I think their plan, and I'm just guessing here, is to finish the event and gather data and participate at the 24 hours of Le Mans. So hopefully they can make it to the end of the race. Hopefully they can achieve a solid result. and keep going. But yeah, we've had a change in the lead. Currently, as of recording this, the number 6 Porsche Penske has moved to the race lead. The number 8 Toyota, I believe, is coming into the pit lane now. And so that's why the number 6 Porsche has got ahead. And I believe this is for fuel only, but I can't be certain of that at the moment. So I will update you all if I know any more information.
Yeah, and if you're not familiar with the safety car procedures at Le Mans, there is going to be 3 different safety cars out on track at this first stage out of 4. Then after that, when the track is clear and ready to get racing at again, they will bunch it all up behind one safety car in one big line with a pass-through round to get all the cars in line and in the right places. And after that, we'll get on the way. We're going to see some different things happening right now, but due to this 4-stage safety car period, it's going to take a while before we get going again. So
we have a little
for those
break.
of you having a tough time staying awake after this stream, you can take a nap, but you have to watch this first.
Yeah, these safety car periods are kind of like a pause or something like that to get a little bit of a break, get some water, all that sort of thing. Get some rest. You know, this is a 24-hour endurance race after all. It's going to take a long time, and we are just about to hit the halfway mark as well, remember, viewers. So this is going to be a long ways to go after this. By the way, just in case you're wondering, if you see myself or David looking off to the side of our screens like that, that's because we're watching the live feed to kind of get an idea of what's going on so we can relate that information to you all watching right now. So yeah, that's what's going on. And yeah, we've hit this rain period, which should be here for a lot longer, I'd say. And I think this is where things get a little interesting because we have the number 6 Porsche now at the front. The Toyotas as well are there, so it's going to be interesting.
Yeah, it is, and we saw like multiple times, like throughout full course yellows and slow zones, that the Ferraris definitely got caught out a bit, and also on strategy calls that actually the number 50 stayed out on slick tires in the rain period, where it looked to be a genius move until the safety car came out. So there has been a lot of changes in strategy due to these slow zones, full course yellows, and safety cars, and now we're seeing that happen again. So everything we see right now in terms of standings at the top will probably change in the next hour or something. So we don't really have a clear picture of who's in the lead right now. The only thing we do know is that it's probably going to be Toyota, Ferrari, or Porsche, since they are the cars with the most pace here in the night. This is probably going to change in the morning. The Ferrari and the Porsche has been faster in daylight, so, and that more warm temperatures. So it's going to be interesting to see how that changes and develops. But right now, it's a safety car period. If the night wasn't already pretty safe and clean, then it's going to be even more safe and clean now with only 80 kilometers an hour around the track.
Yeah, and I just want to touch on something you mentioned. You mentioned that it could be Porsche, Toyota, or Ferrari, most likely towards the front at the end of this event. We did have a comment coming in which asks, do you think Cadillac Racing has a shot given how far they've progressed? We just mentioned that Ferrari, Toyota, or Porsche are at the front, but Cadillac has been going pretty well in this race. You know, I think especially the number 2 car has been doing pretty good. And I think that car in particular could fight for a pretty good result in this race. The number 3 car, of course, starting on second position. Hopefully that they get a good result as well. But in general, Cadillac do have pace. But the question is, can they fight for overall victory with the big 3?
Yeah, it's a difficult question to answer, Jonah, because they do have pace, especially down the Mulsanne straight. They have been extremely fast. But it just seems like they're lacking that last bit of pace to put them in the battle for the lead. But never say never. Le Mans is always changing, and the race that we are watching right now could be completely different in the morning. And coming the last 3 hours, I mean, we've seen lead changes in the last 5 minutes before. So nothing is over until it's over, and that's one of the things that you'll never be able to do. You can't call a winner at Le Mans before the the line has been crossed for the last time. So yeah, definitely a shot for Cadillac. They have been way more consistent this year and way more up there in terms of
Definitely.
pace. Progressed really well, but so far just lacking that last bit of pace to put them in the battle for the lead.
And strategy is also critical as well. So getting that right is absolutely essential to the continuation of this race. I expect Cadillac to maybe perform pretty good in this event, and hopefully they achieve a good result. Speaking of them, the number 2 car has officially moved up into 3rd position. I believe that's after strategy calls, but I need to clarify why the number 2 car has moved up, because we were talking during this point. But the number 2 car has now moved into 3rd position behind the number 8 Toyota and ahead of the 51 Ferrari. So this is Cadillac. They may still have a chance of achieving a big result despite not being that little bit ahead of the Porsches, the Toyotas, and the Ferraris.
Yeah, Jonah, because as I just checked, like the 51 has just been in the pits,
Mm-hmm.
um, as well as the number 50, and due to this 3 different packs of safety car, they'll be allowed to return to track in different, like almost squadrons. So yeah, they'll have to wait and they'll be split up in that way. So the first time we really can say how the new lineup and the new grid is when we go to section 2 of safety car procedures. That's when you can't pit anymore,
Right.
and the grid will be lined up. So right now it's probably always going to be changing, and depending on how long the safety car period is going to be, it could change a lot more. Um, but but yeah, interesting to see what this develops, and for once, nice to see 4 different manufacturers in the top 4 again. Something I haven't seen since like the first 4 hours or something.
Yeah,
So
it's great to see.
yeah, extremely great to see. Um, but Jonah, it has been actually a pretty slow and easy night. Normally, we see a lot more happening in the night. Um, what do you think has like been one of the key factors into having such a clean race this year?
Well, it's hard to say, it's hard to say because there's a lot of factors I think that kind of contribute to this, but I think the biggest one is that um, the reliability of these cars have been pretty good, and so that means that we're not seeing like any major crashes, we're not seeing any major like stops out on track. And I don't know. I think everyone's driving really good this year, and that's not to say that years prior have not been good. It's more of just the fact that this year it just seems like everybody's doing pretty good. There has been a few incidents in the past. I think the McLaren hitting the, what was it, the 155 Spirit of Race Ferrari was a little bit too much, I'd say. That was an incident for sure. But there's been not too many incidents so far, and we're hoping there's not like a ton of incidents. Of course, like I mentioned, the 155 Ferrari did have that crash, and then there was the incident with Robert Kubica and Dries Vanthoor. But it's been pretty good, and I think that's down to a couple factors, and it's hard to say like one thing is better than the other. It's more of just like reliability has been good by everybody. Strategy has been good. Maneuvering around cars has been pretty good. And it's just everyone's driving really good. I can't really say enough. So that's great. But I quickly want to respond to a comment here just before we can continue on, which asks, is this Penske's first pole position start on their first ever Le Mans entry? I believe this is Penske's first ever pole, if you're referring to the number 6 car taking pole position. during the hyperpole session. I believe it is Penske's first pole. It is Porsche's first pole since 2017. I know that for a fact. When they took pole with the 919. But yeah, that's, I believe, Penske's first pole. So to answer that question, it is a yes.
Yeah, it's the first pole in the second year here at Le Mans. So pretty normal for Porsche almost, because last time we saw Porsche come back into the WEC in the top class, they had a tough first year in 2014 and then dominated in 2015.
Indeed.
So something we're almost used to seeing. Though in 2015 we didn't have such a great battle in hyperpole for the pole position. Crazy to think that the number 6 took pole position in the last second of hyperpole. That was something special. But
it was.
But yeah, Penske has been really solid this year, and I expect them to be fighting for the world championship. Obviously, they're leading right now with the number 6 in WEC, and there's double points for Le Mans. So if they finish in the top 3, they'll get a big lead, and that could be really deciding in who is going to be world champion at the end of the year. So yeah, definitely an important. If it wasn't for the prestige only, it was always going to be important, because double points is there.
Right, that's 100% true, and I want to echo your words here that Porsche Penske Motorsport has done really good on the scene of motorsport in 2024. I actually made a video about it a couple months ago explaining why and the results they have achieved. And I think here at Le Mans, it's proved that the Porsche 963 is performing much better than it did last year. For viewers that are unaware, Porsche last year, they didn't have the best of races, I gotta say, and ended up finishing below the top 7 for all 4 entries that competed. The Porsche 963s were competitive, but they were unreliable. And this year, they've been consistent on pace, and they've been reliable as well. So it's definitely a turn of events. And I think we mentioned before that Cadillac has also done a pretty good job here at Le Mans, especially. They've definitely seemed to have some strong pace. With the number 2 car, the number 3 car, and the 311 has actually showed some pretty competitive pace, despite not being really up in the top 10 on a consistent basis so far. But yeah, we are still under safety car conditions. Do we know exactly why they have come out, or is that did we already cover that?
It's pretty unclear for me. I mean, the only factor I could see is the rain,
Okay, that's
due
what
to
I thought
heavy
too.
rainfall. But obviously that's a bit of a bummer for us racing fans that love to see racing in the rain. But safety has to come first, and that is what looks like to be the case here, because I can't really see any incidents on track that could have caused it. So probably the rainfall, and we'll have to wait for it to clear a bit up, which could take some time. But let's see.
Yeah, it seems that rain is the main reason for this. I'm just kind of taking a look at the screens to see what people are saying on the WEC side, and it seems that rain is the cause. 100% certain. I'm not 100% certain on that. But yeah, that's how it goes. We are under safety car conditions, like David mentioned. We will be here for a little bit with the safety car. And then racing will get back underway. But yeah, it's been an epic 24 hours of Le Mans so far. So much action. I think at the first stream that we were doing, David, there was a point when there were so many cars down the Mulsanne straight to the point where we couldn't even see the end of the pack when it came to the hypercar field. And it just proved to me why this regulation is working so well. And I believe the regulation of LMH and LMDH have been extended all the way till at least 2029, which is big news as well. That was announced, I believe, earlier for IMSA and the WEC as well. So IMSA and the WEC will run these regulations till at least 2029, which is huge news considering that we'll see that. There's actually been a lot of news coming out of the 24 hours of Le Mans, which we will get into at some point. Not at this point because, of course, the race is happening currently. As I'm seeing on the leaderboard here, there are some changes in positions. I believe that's down to pit stops. We're currently not seeing any feed right now. But so far, according to this leaderboard, the Cadillacs have moved down. The number 2 car is down to 8th. I believe that's during a pit stop. And the 3 car is now moved up into 7th. And the number 2 is consistently falling back. So I believe that is a pit stop.
Yeah, it seems this pit stop is taking an effect right now, and I just saw a question that could the number 5 Porsche Penske rain tire strategy under Makovic ruin their chances? It definitely set them back a bit. Uh, I was. It seems as though they wanted to try and do a Ferrari,
From Imola.
but really the situation wasn't for it. But that's the beauty of the safety car, and I mean, as annoying as safety cars can be, it takes all those incidents and strategy calls beforehand and puts us to the side, and we start all over. So yeah, I believe they still have a chance. They have the pace. They have great drivers, and there's still a long time left. So almost over a whole Qatar race still. So plenty of racing left to get through.
Yeah, still have so much to go, and it's going to be absolutely incredible to see what the 24 hours of Le Mans has to offer in these final few moments. I think we mentioned earlier on the fact that, and I mean, for the majority of long-term Le Mans fans, they know this as well. But it can the race can be decided pretty much on the final couple of laps. That's how close it can be. And we've seen this in past endurance races as well, besides Le Mans. Look back to Daytona earlier this year when there was a fight for the lead between the number 7 Porsche and the 31 Cadillac, and it was kind of undecided who was going to win until the final few moments. And I mean, look back to 2016, the number 5 Toyota TS020 with that heartbreaking stop on the line with a few laps to go, and that was just absolutely like just crazy to think about, even to this point. But my point is that can happen even in this 2024 race, and that's why Le Mans is one of the reasons why it's so special, is that we don't know who's going to win until they cross the checkered flag. That's really what it is, and that's why Le Mans is definitely special. I just want to point out another thing which is absolutely incredible, and that is all of you. 127 viewers currently right now on the YouTube channel. Did not expect that coming into this this stream, which I'm very, very happy to see. And I'm just going to cut actually from what I'm talking about, because there's currently a nose change going on the number 2 Cadillac. This is currently happening right now. The number 2 Cadillac is about to leave the pit box. And that is happening, so I'm not sure exactly why that's the case. But yeah, sorry to cut back from the subject of the amazing support this channel is getting right now. But that was something that happened. David, did you see the number 2 Cadillac doing this? It was a nose change that happened.
Yeah, I suspect it to be some kind of setup change. We saw this a few times beforehand with Toyota doing this in the years of dominance. So it could be something to do with a setup change, because we get so much rainfall in the next few hours, and they would want to get a advantage in this crucial part of the race. But yeah, I don't believe it's anything really extreme and problematic. It's probably just a setup change.
And we have a comment coming in asking, what happened to Ferrari? David, do you want to take this question? I think
Oh God.
yeah. It's hard to talk about, because it's unfortunate to see Ferrari not in the position leading, of course.
Well, Ferrari has been bold, I would say, in strategy calls throughout this rain and dry and rain periods, and have lost out a bit in those situations. But actually, we saw the 83 AF course leading the race for a long part of the start. But in the big crash where we lost the number 15 BMW, Robert Kubica hit the number 15 BMW and got a 30-second stop and go penalty for it. So they lost a lot of ground there, and in the safety car period, last time out, the number 50 and the number 51 lost some time in the following pit stop chaos because the rain started falling again. So just some unfortunate events, but the pace has been there up until the night came, where the Toyotas has been really the car to beat. But I wouldn't say they're out yet. It's still pretty close, and they're not even a lap down. And normally we are used to seeing like third place being a lap down and second place being almost a lap down. So
Right.
it's really close this year, and it's something we has to get used to because there's so many cars on pace now.
Yeah, Ferrari are definitely not out of this. You know, we have a long ways to go, and despite that fact, Ferrari have two cars in the top five. That's the number 50 and 83 car. So, yeah, this is of course the strategy didn't really work out. They took a gamble. So did the number 5 Porsche. So did the 311 Cadillac during rain periods, and it just didn't work. You know, it just didn't work out. So yeah, of course, unfortunate to see that that Ferrari are no longer in the leading positions. However, like we have mentioned before, we are close to the crossover point of this being the second half of this race, which is great to see. And so, like we have mentioned multiple times before, it is not over until the checkered flag crosses or until the checkered flag happens. There's still a long way to go. And with this rain period mixing things up, this means that this could change things around and give Ferrari the possibility of getting up there in the front. Also, Team WRT in general, besides the hypercar entries, have not had a good race today. The 46 fan favorite car, the one that has Valentino Rossi behind the wheel, is out of the race, no longer in it. This is because of a mistake from one of the bronze rated drivers, I believe, in the 46 lineup. And this happens. You know, I think the driver was on slick tires at the time when there was the crossover point between wet tires and dry tires. So it's hard to say what was going on, but in general, this affected the 46 car, and it was out of the race pretty much from that point onward. And yeah, I think the only Team WRT entry that's still in across both classes is the number 31 car. I don't remember which position it is in LMGT3, but yeah, unfortunately, that is the only car still in this race for BMW and Team WRT. So really not a great day for the Belgian squad or for the German manufacturer.
Yeah, just Le Mans taking its prisoners, and this year it seems to be BMW taking the biggest L of all manufacturers. But yeah, they could still like the pace has been there. We sort of 46 leading the class and fighting for the winning LMGT3, and obviously we saw the number 15 take a top spot in qualifying before the race. So I believe it's a good start for BMW, and it shows that they're in here to fight for victories, not only to be a part of the midfield or just a part of the racing, but actually to win something and go for podiums. So yeah, I don't see this as a BMW WRT out, but I see it as a tough start, but also with some promises. Ultimately, it came down to a driver mistake in the number 46 from the bronze driver, and that's also some of the beauty about Le Mans and WEC, that we have these gentleman drivers, and they can affect the results so much, because you can't just put the best drivers in a car and expect them to win. You actually have to plan for time and driver changes a lot more than you have to do in the bigger classes.
Yeah, it's 100% true, and I think that that's one of the beauties of Le Mans. You know, it's we have so many drivers, so many different kinds of drivers in it, and so I just wanted to echo your words there, David. So, let's do a quick recap. So currently the number 8 Toyota is leading this race, the number 6 Porsche in second, the 7 Toyota in third, the number 50 Ferrari is in fourth, and then completing the top 5 is the AF Corsa customer run yellow Ferrari. So yeah, hypercar is in the top 5. Remember, viewers, we are under safety car conditions, so no overtaking. But yeah, and then LMP2 is headed by the number 183 AF Corsa. So AF Corsa not doing too bad across the classes in hypercar and LMP2. But yeah, 183 car leading over in LMP2. It's been a pretty solid race from that car. And yeah, I think Ben Barnico, Lexus IMSA driver, is also leading, or is one of the drivers in that car as well. So great to see him being part, and hopefully he and his teammates can get a good result. And then in LMGT3, it's a Porsche 1-2. The Manthey Pure Racing Porsche, the championship leading car, is at the front with the 91 car in second. But yeah, it's been a pretty solid race. We're halfway through it, of course. And yeah, we've mentioned before that Alpine haven't had a good race. We've mentioned BMW haven't had a good race. I can't think, out of all the other manufacturers, is there any other specific entries or manufacturers that we want to talk about? I think one entry actually that I want to talk about is the number 23 United Autosports LMP2, which has just had a really difficult race today. I think that the 23 car, there was a few mistakes from drivers, there was a few off moments, a few unlucky moments, a few issues just across the whole race, and it just really hasn't been a good one. Of course, this is the car with the legend himself, Ben Keating, and of course Ben Keating, a driver who has won multiple times at Le Mans. There's also drivers such as Felipe Albuquerque, who races, of course, in GTP, in the number 10 Konica Minolta Acura. So, yeah, this car definitely hasn't had a good race. I believe it's still running in the race, but it is so many laps down.
Yeah, it seems as though the United Autosport curse of Le Mans still continues. So yeah, definitely not the race that they wanted, but it's also in a highly competitive field with a load of great drivers in LMP2. So nothing new there, but always disappointing to see a big personality as Ben Keating not having a great race.
Yeah, for sure. It's definitely been a difficult race for Ben Keating, and considering that he was he won, of course, the LMGTE AM category. Want to make sure I got that all right. Last time out in 2023 with the Corvette number 33 car, he was one of the drivers that got that win in a very unique circumstance. It was awesome to see him take that victory along with his co-drivers. But in general, yeah, this race has not gone the way of Ben Keating or United Autosports. I think the McLaren cars haven't been super great in LMGT3 when it comes to United Autosports. I think they're not doing too bad, but I think they haven't really been fighting for the race win, at least. So it hasn't been the greatest time for United Autosports, but I'm hoping that they'll bounce back stronger throughout the rest of the race. They still have 3 entries really in contention for a good result, that being the 2 McLarens and the number 22 United Autosports LMP2. But yeah, we'll see. Hopefully they can get a good result with at least one of those 3 entries.
Yeah. This is the biggest chance for them to get a good result. Normally they only have 2 cars, but now they also have their LMGT3 McLarens. So yeah, and obviously we saw McLaren at pole position. This was the Inception number 70 McLaren, but also hit by problems. So it seems as though this Le Mans never stops giving us chaos, and that's what we love as racing fans. Just not when it goes some of the drivers and teams that we love. So yeah, but at least it's a bit clean and slow right now, so we can take a breather, take a nap, and get ready for the last part of the race and all the action that surely will follow.
Yeah, and it's definitely going to be thrilling, you know. I think that we're in for quite a treat towards the end of this event. Still many more hours to go for the 24 hours of Le Mans. I think that Toyota's got a good chance of winning this event, but I think that Porsche and Ferrari also have a good chance. It's really going to be a 3-way fight, I think, for the overall win between these 3 manufacturers. And I also wouldn't rule out Cadillac from getting a good result. have good pace with the car, but do they have that extra pace like the Toyota, like the Porsche, like the Ferrari, as we have been mentioning? Um, right now, I don't think they do, but I wouldn't rule them out. I would just consider them as a possibility to get at least a top five or something like that with one of their cars. Obviously, as an American, I hope that they do well. I love that Cadillac V Series R. It is one of the best cars. As someone who has been to a couple IMSA races in the past and has seen the V Series R twice at these IMSA events, it is a car that stunned me out of existence, basically, because of how powerful it was, how cool it looked, and yeah, just the overall vibe that the V Series R brings. So I definitely hope that Cadillac achieve a good result here at Le Mans. And they've had a difficult season entirely. Qatar, of course, they finished fourth, but were disqualified. Imola wasn't a great race, and then most recently at Spa, of course, they had that big incident where the number 2 car went up in the air and eventually, of course, retired. But they need a good result. They really do. Cadillac in general need a good result here in 2024 if they're going to have any chance of getting like a top 5 position in the championship standings at the end of this season. So we'll see. You know, it's definitely going to be interesting, but like I mentioned, don't count out Cadillac.
Yeah. You can never count any of these teams out because it's Le Mans. I mean, we have even seen Lamborghini being up in the top 10 and actually having pretty good pace. So I wouldn't count any of these teams out, but yeah, it looks difficult. But strategy and rain and different track temperatures and conditions could change it all in a blink of an eye. So it's one of these races where you can't miss anything, other than these safety car periods where you can look at us instead.
Indeed. And I just want to, speaking of safety car, we had a comment coming in asking, how did Porsche get just a second behind the Toyota? Well, because it's safety car, they all kind of got bunched up, and the cars is now, they're all kind of in line. That's the easiest answer I can give. But it is pouring out there. I'm looking at the screen right now. Of course, we can't show the video. We'll get copyrighted on YouTube by the WEC, which is totally fair. I won't show the video. That's why we have just this leaderboard here, so you guys get some idea of who's in the top. But yeah, it is pouring. It is really pouring out there. I think this is the most rain we've seen across the entire period. Of course, it's come back and forth. This is, I think, total of 4th or 5th time we've had a rain period. And it's expected to continue. We're under safety car conditions. And viewers of the 24 Hours of Nürburgring, of course, me and David were streaming that race right when the red flag hit, and it didn't go away. Now, there's question marks going over the fact, will this race be red flagged like the 24 Hours of Nürburgring? And as David is shaking his head, that's the answer. No, it will not be red flagged. The thing that caught out with the 24 Hours of Nürburgring was mainly the fact of the fog. The fog, it just basically made the racing impossible. You know, there was no way for cars, especially on a track like the Nürburgring where it was super narrow. In general, it just is not possible to do that. So, yeah, we will not see a red flag unless there's some crazy incident, but I don't expect it. Le Mans is expected to just stay under safety car for a little bit longer and keep going. But this historic race is just getting started, viewers. I know that we've had 12 hours of racing, but we're gonna get 12 more hours of racing. That's my point. There is so much more action to come. Well, since we're under safety car conditions, there's not a lot more to talk about. So if you have any final questions, let us know down in the comments section below before we kind of end off our stream here. By the way, David and myself will be back later on in the week for a race review of what happened during the 24 Hours of Le Mans. We will update on you guys on how that happens. The best way you can keep an eye on live stream plans or through the Instagram channels. That's the best way of doing so. I'll try my best to post on YouTube, all that sort of thing. But yeah. Let's see. But if you have any final questions, let us know down in the comments. Otherwise, we will conclude. And just by the way, and David, this is probably good information for you to know as well. We have 160 viewers currently right now, which is,
Jesus
I think,
Christ.
amazing. This has been absolutely incredible.
Crazy support.
Absolutely, yeah. And I love the fact, not just for the live streams, but also for the videos as well. You guys have been coming on a lot more. There's been a lot more support, and it just makes me feel good. You know, it makes myself and David feel good that we can put out this content and there's a lot of feedback and you all are enjoying this. Of course, we're not making money off of this. We're not doing anything like that. We're just here to talk about endurance racing, talk about what we love, which is Le Mans, which is endurance racing. And yeah, we're going to continue to do that and just love the support. Keep it up. And we'll continue to put out all the content.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. We'll continue, and as long as you support us, we will, because this is why we do it. This is why we stay up all night and take notes and follow the race closely, so we can talk about it with you guys. So thank you for watching. That means a lot. Obviously, I just came in this year, texted Jonah on Instagram and wanted to start some live streaming. So the support for these streams has been crazy, and I can only be really thankful, because that makes us have something to do every single week. So really nice for you guys to join in and support us, even when I'm pretty tired in the middle of the night. So yeah, hopefully it's been good also watching this stream, because I believe it has been extremely fun and nice to do something different for Le Mans and Nürburgring.
Yeah, 100% agree with you, David. And we will be back not just for a race review live stream, but we'll be back for further content, of course, on the 24 Hours of Spa later on this month. Potentially the 6 Hours of the Glen, which is later on this month as well, and so on. You know, we have a lot of plans. But yeah, there's so much support in the comments, which I'm just blown away. Thank you so much to everybody who's sending in just support. A question I want to quickly point out before we end. What do you guys think about the NASCAR Blue Monster? Should they bring it back next year?
Well, as much fun as the NASCAR was, I think it was great because it was a one-off event. If we bring it back every single year, it just kind of loses its charm.
I agree.
So probably in some years' time, but no, not as a reoccurring thing. That garage is two new and funny projects, and it has to stay that way, in my opinion.
I love the fact that the NASCAR race car took to Le Mans. You know, this is a car that it's not, of course, a standard NASCAR Cup Series car. It's, of course, been modified. It's very different, but absolutely incredible car that competed at Le Mans in 2023. But I echo David's words. It was a one-off thing. You know, this was for the 100-year anniversary of Le Mans. It was also for the I believe, 75th anniversary of NASCAR, if I'm not mistaken. So definitely something that should stay as a one-off entry. But hopefully we'll see more Garage 56 cars in the future. One in particular could be a hydrogen car, so we'll see how that all goes. But yeah, I think that pretty much concludes things. And someone did ask us, well, are you guys going to have another stream? Yes, we will have a race review stream later on in the week. And many more streams after that, of course, detailing Spa, 6 Hours of the Glen, and all the July events, and continuing on every single month. So much more content to come, definitely, for sure. But yeah, that's going to conclude things. The 24 Hours of Le Mans is continuing on, and we have many more hours to complete. We are currently under safety car conditions, and we're going to get underway shortly as the race continues on for what will be a historic endurance race that will be remembered for many, many more years into the future. But David, thank you so much for joining me once again to discuss everything when it comes to this halfway point recap. And thank you all for joining us during this live stream. Again, thank you so much for the support. It's been absolutely incredible. Not just here on the live streams, but on the videos as well. If you guys weren't here, it would not be possible. So to make all this content, and for me and David to do this especially. So yeah, again, we will be back later on for the race review. Enjoy the rest of the race. But that's been David.